Because in Luke and John, we see a man that had been laid by the pool of Bethesda for 38 years. And he was surrounded by people that were laying too. And you know the story. They had to wait for a certain time when the angel came down to trouble the water in order to get their blessing. Fast forward to Acts chapter number 12, and we see children of God. I'm not going to really focus that much on Peter, but I want to focus on the saints that was there praying for a miracle. Because they were there, and they were praying, and they were interceding, but they weren't expecting. The man laying by the pool of Bethesda knew what he needed to do, and I'm sure he prayed about it, but he wasn't expecting it. And so God called me here today to speak to those who have stopped expecting. Both of these individuals, or both of these situations, were situations that the man that had been there 38 years had watched everybody else there lay. And the only person that was getting their healing was the one that got into the water. And so he didn't expect, because he didn't have anybody else. In Peter's situation, James had just got killed. And so Peter went to sleep expecting to die the next day. Because of what he had already seen, he didn't think that God was going to show up for him. Not only that, the people that were praying wasn't expecting either. What happens when you're surrounded by a group of people that's not expecting anything? Oftentimes, we make it a habit of praying for things. We make it a habit of fasting for things, but we don't really believe that God is going to do what we're praying about, and we don't believe that God's going to do what we're believing Him for, or what we're asking Him for. And so here it is. Here it is that God bypassed their expectations to bless them. He bypasses their expectation to perform a miracle in their lives. And so I had to ask myself, God, why is it that they were praying and not expecting? Because prayer has the tendency to soothe our troubled spirits. And so I know how to stop feeling like I'm feeling by praying. And so, in other words, we're praying, but we're praying amiss. That's scripture. When you ask amiss. You're not really believing. You're just doing it because it's comfortable. You're praying out of formality. You're asking because you know He said ask and it would be given, but you're really not. Both accounts, when the answer shows up, they're caught off guard. Both accounts. When Jesus got to the man, Luke chapter 5 through 9, He said to him, will you be made whole? And the man began to talk about the situation that he was in. The man began to talk about how he don't have no help. So many times we dummy ourselves down because we feel like we don't have the right support system. We fail to move and budge because we don't see the resources to get it done. But tell somebody at this season, God is bypassing protocol to bless you. Protocol said that the man had to have somebody to put him in the pool. Protocol said he had to wait till the angel troubled the water. But protocol couldn't dictate Jesus. That's right. And so Jesus stepped over protocol and stepped into that man's situation and spoke directly to him and said, I'm your answer. Yeah. Do you want to be whole? That's good right there. Do you want to be whole? In Peter's situation, the saints didn't really believe. And I'll tell you how I know they didn't believe. Because when we look at verse number 15, they said that verse number 14, they thought that Rhoda was crazy. They said it must have been Peter's angel. I had to park right there for a second. Because the only way you have angels is you have someone that's no longer physically being. So they had already reckoned what they were praying about to be dead. How many of you have reckoned that you're going to die at the pool? How many of you have reckoned that you're going to die in prison? How many of you have reckoned that you're going to die in the situation that you are in? You've reckoned it. And so you're going through the motions because you're supposed to. You come into church and you're shouting and you're testifying that God's going to do it, but you go home and you keep going through the motions because the motions are what you have gotten used to, and it's comfortable being in motion. But you don't really believe that God's going to do what you've been believing for him to do. And so when the answer shows up, you're surprised. You're caught off guard. Some of the situations you've been in have been long coming. Some of you have been believing God or praying about a situation, and it seems that God isn't hearing you. It seems like I just got to be content. It seems like I don't believe anymore because I don't have anybody to help me. How many of you have ever said, I don't have anybody to help me? Come on. How many of you have discounted yourself because of everything around you? Come on, let's talk in the house. How many of you have said, I'm not worthy, I don't qualify, my credit is too bad? I do believe that there are times, let me say this again, that we're supposed to work. But today God says, I'm going to answer you despite your expectation. Protocol says that you're going to die in this. Protocol told Peter to go to sleep because tomorrow you're going to die. Because, of course, the Herod, the king, has ordered your death. And it's not too often that things like this change. Actually, Peter had probably not heard of an account. Possibly Paul and Silas, but aside from them, he probably had not heard of an account because he didn't have the Bible to tell him about the other historical events that had taken place where God rescued people out of prison. And so because Peter didn't have that to reflect on, Peter just said, I'm going to die where I am. How do you know Peter said he would die where he was? Because when the angel came, he had to wake him and let him know he was free. How many of us, when the answer comes, we're so caught off guard or so shocked by it? We sleeping on it, Bishop. My God, my God. We're so lame. You better preach it. Y'all know the word lame, how that used to be used to slang lame, like ain't nothing going on in you for real. You just lame. How many of us are really spiritually lame? We're spiritually locked up to the point where we can stop expecting. My timeline is filled with despair. Oftentimes on social media because people have gotten to the point where they just have settled for being in prison. But tell somebody your answer is here. protocol says I gotta have a husband to be able to get some things done because I need 2 incomes. Protocol says my child shouldn't have been the number 1 fifth grader in class because she's raised in a single mother household, actually in her school. That's protocol. But tell somebody in this season that I'm in, God is bypassing protocol. So if you're looking at me and trying to base where I'm going on my credentials, you're going to miss it because God will skip over the need for me to have a husband. God will skip over the need for me to have solid credit.
Listen.
Tell somebody your answer.
Your answer
is here. I can recall a few weeks ago, I had thought about something, but I didn't ask God about it. And that morning I got a call from my accountant telling me some instructions on something that I should do. And I said, well, I'm going to pray about it. And before the evening was over, I hadn't prayed about it. I had just gotten off work. I got another call from another accountant saying, this is something that you need to do.
My God.
And in my mind, y'all know I told y'all last year how my credit flew all kinds of directions when my house went up for foreclosure and when I couldn't pay my bills and all that. In my mind, I'm just rebuilding from where I was. And so how in the world do I qualify for something as jacked up as my credit is right now? But tell somebody, God will answer your question. He'll answer your question even when you don't even pose it. That's the kind of God we serve. That's scripture because he said before you call, I will answer. And while you are speaking, I'll answer it. He said, I'll answer and I'll answer. I'll answer and I'll deliver. I'll hear you and I'll deliver you. And so, I was like, whoa. Because I didn't have to ask God to do it. Sometimes God just want to drop stuff in your lap. And instead of saying, I don't deserve it, God, I don't deserve it, just take your miracle and give him the glory. Tell somebody, take your miracle. Stop trying to figure out how he's doing it and accept that it is done. Some of us are unprepared for our miracle because we ain't never seen anybody else come out of that. But tell somebody, I'm different. And I know it. So that means God will do some different things on my behalf. Sent me today to breathe life into you and tell you it's time for you to take up what you've been laying on and walk. Peter is knocking. Your answer is knocking at the door. Your answer is knocking at the door. Your breakthrough is knocking at the door. Open. Because Rhoda heard the miracle, and when Rhoda heard the miracle, something inside her leaped. Some of you sitting here today, hearing the word, and something is leaping. But there's one thing you gotta do after you Rhoda. Because all throughout the Bible, there was very few times that names were given. And so when a name is given, I want to understand why the name is given. And so I began to do some research, and Rhoda means rose. Rhoda means rose. And in most religions, including Christianity, a rose is a scent that comes up when angelic presence is around. A rose signifies a miracle that's about to take place. Imagine how beautiful a rose is, even when it's got thorns. Tell somebody, the rose was a representation that God was about to work a miracle, and they weren't ready. So God said, miracle, go tell them their miracle is here. Rhoda, go tell them that they've been praying for us here, and they reckoned it dead. They said it must be an angel. But tell somebody, no. It was Peter. It was the very thing that they had been praying for that showed up while they were still praying. Tell somebody, your answer is here. Your answer is here. It has nothing to do with nothing but God's plan to bless you. It has nothing to do with your credentials. It has nothing to do with your history. I don't care how long you've been made. This is the other thing I love. And God just revealed this to me. Peter was a servant of God. He had been doing miracles, and he had been teaching the gospel, and he got in trouble for teaching the gospel. But the man at the pool of Bethesda hadn't done anything. He had just been laying. Some of you think, God, I hadn't served you like I should, so I must not qualify. Because when life happened to me, I didn't get back up. I stayed where I was. But even you don't have to be the one that's holding the mic to get your lesson. You don't have to be the one. All you gotta do is take up the very thing that you've been laying on and walk. Tell somebody, I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get mine. At this season, it doesn't make a lick of sense how businesses are prospering. It doesn't make a lick of sense. At an hour where, from political numbers, our country is in the worst financial state that it has been in years. It don't make a lick of sense for all that chaos to be happening and God still blessing his children. It don't make sense. It just don't make sense. But tell somebody, I serve a miracle working God. all the things that God is doing
Yes, yes.
at this set time.
Thank you, Lord Jesus. Hallelujah.
God
Lord have mercy.
is going to fulfill his purpose.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't require you
Come on.
to do it.
Lord have mercy.
When I began to reflect just this week on the miracles, literally miracles, that God has unleashed for me in my house,
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
I stand in amazement. I didn't even know Bishop told me I had to preach on Wednesday, but I didn't know what I was going to preach because God has downloaded another book in my spirit, and that's all that's been ringing is the pages of the book. And so God said, just wait. I'll let you know what I want you to say. And I wanted to make sure the word was in alignment with what everything that Bishop has been, and Dr. Gray and Pastor Sharika have been teaching and preaching. And God said, tell them the answer is here. Not it's coming, not it's on the way. It's here. Your healing is here. Your breakthrough, your shift, you've been praying that God would shift you and change you and that you would feel. Some of you haven't even felt his presence in so long. You questioned what was going on. He's here. The answer is in Jesus. So this week, Destiny applied, actually, before school got out, they toured the middle school, and, you know, as I said, she's not supposed to be the top 5th grader in her entire school, statistically. But God. And so, of course, she was going to be in advanced classes by nature. And last week, I got a call or a text message from the accelerated teacher. It said, we have a test that we want her and was 48 other kids in the city to take to see if they can qualify for accelerated math. Accelerated math, she's in 6th grade. Going into 6th grade means she'll be doing 8th grade math in 6th grade. And I was like, okay, cool. So, of course, she took the test on Tuesday, and I got a call on Thursday. Destiny, of course, scored high, and she's going to be in accelerated math, which means in 10th grade she can be in college math. And then, I don't even know, I forgot about it. Do you remember when I wanted to be a fashion designer? When I was in high school, Prophet, I actually had applied to fashion school, and I got accepted at one in Florida when I was in high school back in 2000, but I didn't want to leave because I knew out-of-state tuition was going to be an arm and a leg, so I stayed. But I had designed clothes and shoes and all this kind of stuff because fashion was my passion. Now, I love coaching and psychology and all that, but fashion, I just love fashion. And so, I decided that I would leave. And I started doing some research. Because I was like, I wonder what I got to do to have my own shoes.
Come on now. Listen.
And I was like, So I started Googling shoe cobs and, what I got to do to design my own shoe. And I had applied to one company company and they sent me some information, but they didn't call me. So last Monday, up early in the morning, that's where things flow and I'm free mentally. And I ran across a company and I said, I'm gonna check them out. And you would have to actually apply for them to even consider working with you. So I had to go on there and put information about myself and my website and what my passion was and why I wanted to have Tiffany LaMeia shoe line. And the lady got the application, and a few hours later she responded back. She's the CEO of the company. She responded back and she said, I'm going to recommend you to the board. I've reviewed your information and I'm very impressed. And I think that it would be great if we had a shoe line out of Alabama. So I was like, okay. She said, so you should hear back in a few days. And so the next day, I got an email from her that said, congratulations, you were accepted. And I was like, what? Well, let me go find my acceptance, because this is the CEO emailing me this. And so I looked and I had my certificate of authenticity giving me permission to design my own designer shoes. Italian leather. Upscale. $200, $300 shoes. So 2020, my own shoe line will be launching. Because I wanted a shoe that when people stepped in, they knew they were enough. It's important to me that everything that people adorn themselves in, they get confidence when they put it on. And that every time I lift up my feet, I'm leaving a message of hope to somebody. I don't have to have a bunch of upfront money. You would think I would have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it ain't even like that. I just gotta have 7 volunteers to say, I'll buy a pair. That's it. And then, after that, they're gonna put them into production. Just because the answer was already. This little girl from Decatur, Alabama, grew up on a dirt road, picking leaves and acting like it was money. Somebody don't answer. It's knocking. Can you just believe? Can you just believe? I told y'all, God said spread. I didn't remember. I thought maybe I would have to be a millionaire before that could happen. But tell somebody, God bypassed protocol. God bypassed protocol. If you can believe that Jesus died, was resurrected, he's still performing miracles. Tell somebody, he's still performing miracles. He's still performing miracles. If you can just believe. Actually, if you could just open the door. You ain't even got to believe this time. That's shut. You don't even have to believe this time. Just open the door. Open your heart. Be willing to receive it.